what we fight, we fuel, right? So we think that like if I repress, deny, and reject certain parts of myself, they'll just go away. But the reality is the more I focus on it, even if it's the negative, the more I become that energy. So the more I'm going to attract that now.
That was Cara Ansis, and this is episode number 177 of the Chopped Podcast. Hey everyone, I'm Marley of the blog Namely Marley. I am your host, and this is the Chopped Podcast. You know what's the deal here, right? This is the podcast designed for people just like you, bloggers who love food. I'm so happy you're here with me today. You know, I had this feeling where I realized lately we've been talking an awful lot about some of the technical sides about food blogging, like SEO and updating old posts and just, hiring teams, all these things that can feel a little overwhelming at times. And I thought maybe it was time for a little bit of soul talk. That's why I have Cara back on the show today. You know Cara Ansis from our Fry Chats discussions from previous episodes. So I'm lucky because when Cara is not on the show, she and I still talk regularly. And those chats follow a very similar purpose. In fact, what we love to talk about is what is your true purpose, and not just how to do the work, but why. And in fact, you could go back to my very first discussion with Cara back in episode 22, where she talks about finding your voice. And I love that discussion. She talks a lot about her big why and the strategies she used to help discover that for herself, and the impact that just knowing that had on her business. It was really a great discussion, and it really helped her better understand Instagram and her voice there. And I really found it very inspiring. But now Cara has gone through some very major life-changing events since that very first episode. She got married. Her mother died very suddenly. She had a baby. She moved across the country to the Midwest. I mean, that is a lot of changes. Those are kind of like, I don't know, stop in your tracks, soul changing kinds of life events. And so as a result, she's making some changes in her business too. And I've really actually just been so inspired by being a friend with Cara, and she really asks a lot of hard questions. And I think those are the really good friends that you need to have in your life that won't just let you get by with saying the thing, but really understanding why the thing. And so I really am just been blessed to have her as a friend, and I'm so thrilled for the opportunity to share with you, just like a little snippet of a discussion with her like that. So she's here discussing another big life change that's coming her way. And we're also discussing what I calling it the curiosity mindset, because Cara has really sparked in me this internal dialogue that asks this one question. It goes like this: oh, isn't that interesting? I know that sounds very provocative, doesn't it? But really, it has made a big change in me, because I think I've had a tendency to, if I go and I look at my traffic and my traffic is up or it's down or whatever, let's say it's down, I'll be like, oh my God, my traffic is down. What am I going to do? And Cara's helped me realize that maybe that huge emotional response and I'm a failure, I'm never going to be good at this, all of that stuff is not really helping me. And the same could be true if you go there and things are great. Like if you go there and, your traffic is really high and you're just maybe it's unexpected or whatever, you can find yourself in that same mindset if you're not careful. It's just got a different look to it. It might feel great, but there's still some fear behind it. Like, oh, what if tomorrow it's going to drop? And so you can still find yourself in that kind of frantic mindset if you're not careful. I like the curious mindset. I've been using it. I get myself in there before I even go and look at my traffic. I practice it like, oh, isn't that interesting? I do that when I play tennis now too, because I used to get myself, I tell you, when I was in a match, I would not be a fun person to play with or against, because I took things a little too personally. And here's the thing is, when you get yourself all freaked out and mad, your body just starts to tense up, and in that tenseness, it doesn't do things well. It doesn't play tennis well either. And, we respond emotionally to our physiological impulses. So, those things have an impact on us as individuals. And so anyway, just having this curiosity mindset has made a big difference for me, even in tennis. But even as I move around the house, or even as maybe I'm in a similar pattern with my mom, my mom will say something and it triggers me or whatever. And if instead I say, oh, isn't that interesting that my mom said that? It doesn't have to mean anything more than what she said. And I can kind of let that go. It's really been a big healing thing for me. So I'm really glad that Cara and I are going to be talking today about this curiosity mindset. I think it's something that can really have a big impact. I think when you commit to being curious, it changes everything. There's also the fact that I think it puts me into a more joyous state. And I don't know about you, but I think you can be very serious about the work you're doing and still be in a joyous state. And I think the more that we can work from that joyous state, the better. So, it's Cara on the conversation. So, it's going to be super inspirational. So I say, let's get straight to it. Here's today's featured discussion with Cara Ansis. Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be with you right now. And, I'm always even more excited when I have this very special guest with me. And her name is Cara Ansis. Hi, Cara.
What? Hi. It's been so long.
I know. It's
Not
been
that we
too
talked,
long.
but it's been so long doing this podcast.
I know. That's true. We do talk on the regular, but it's been a while since we've done a podcast and I'm so excited.
I am too, Marley. How are you?
I am doing great. I do feel kind of stingy, and I want to tell everybody why I feel so stingy. It's because I do get to talk with you on the regular, and you just pump me up and make me so happy. And I want to share that with everybody. So that's why I want you to be back on the show again.
Well, same goes for you, sister. But I mean, everyone gets to hear you on your own podcast. So, but thank you for having me again. This is great.
Well, I'm glad, because I think one of the things I think is a theme of our discussions is this whole, we're all in this kind of grind of trying to figure out who we are and what we're doing. And I think I've said this many times before that blogging or, being an entrepreneur is like a voyage of self-discovery, because if you have any insecurities, they come flying up in your face.
They sure do.
Yes.
Well, you can ignore them, but they're just going to get louder. But yeah,
we will not be ignored.
Yeah, especially like if you're working home alone, kind of hard to put them aside after a while.
I can't get over how easy it is for me to work with other people. So let me even explain. I used to do work from home for other people, for businesses, and I could I was just on top of everything. And even Addie, she's going to be recording her own album, which I'm so excited about.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
I'm just I know, it's so cool. And I'm sitting here ticking off all these ideas about how she could promote it. And it's so easy for me to do that for other people. And then I sit down with my own stuff. It's so hard.
Yeah, that internal critic starts to really creep up and tell you things like, nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Or, do you really think you should be talking about that?
Yes.
Or whatever.
What is that?
Horrible things. It's just a stupid internal critic, everything that we've accumulated from our childhood on is just attached to our brains and repeats the same messages over and over again. The great thing about that, actually, I've just been thinking about this a lot too, is that it's just an old tape, right? It's not the truth. It's other people's voices and other people's opinions. And so you can rewire that and heal from that and change the message. It just takes time and it takes work.
Do you want to know the proof of that? You could just look at some 3 or 4-year-old and just look at how joyous they can be. They don't even care. They don't care that people are looking at them. They'll walk around with their tiara or they'll be dancing around in funny ways and they don't care. That's, I think, really, whereas we get to a certain age and we're like, what are other people going to think of us?
Yeah, absolutely. We just put the labels on.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I was just sitting here thinking, I realized that it's been a while since you've been on the show, Cara, and I'm just so raring to get into all the spirituality of entrepreneurialism and all of that. But I wonder if it might be helpful for people to kind of hear your journey over the last year. Do you want to share about that?
Sure. I officially walked away from Fork and Beans. That was, I mean, if you've been listening to the podcast, I've been like, what's
What?
the nice word? I've been really, struggling with it, trying
Yeah.
to figure out what I should do. And it finally became clear to me that I had a different path. And even just this past month, it's become even more clear that I had to stop doing anything towards Fork and Beans and go towards my where my heart really is. And I started a site called Happy Whole Woman, and it's basically my journey of healing in the past year and a half. And I've, again, if you've listened to this, you've known that like I've been through some really dark stuff. And I've also done some pretty amazing internal healing. And I feel like a different person, and I feel like I operate from somewhere differently now. I believe that I have tuned into my higher self, I guess you would say, and that woman that has always been within me. And I want to teach other women how to do that. I want to teach them the tools, practices, and rituals that they need to tune into, heal, and learn to love themselves.
I love
Because,
that.
as RuPaul says,
RuPaul.
you can't love yourself. How the hell are you going to love someone else? Love RuPaul. But it's true. Like, we try so hard to get a new job or buy new shoes or do X, Y, and Z to make us happy. But if we haven't figured out who we are, where we come from, and start healing some of those patterns that have kept us stuck, then it's all futile.
So I could see where, getting more traffic would be in that list of things that we try to do to make us more happy.
If that's if you're honest enough with yourself and that's your MO, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't want to say that the chasing of more traffic is that for everyone,
right.
but
Absolutely.
it could just be the means to, more finances or, more income for you. But there is a time where you have to get really honest with yourself, and that honestly comes with understanding, excuse my language, the bullshit that you tell yourself and the stories that you love to hide behind. We all have them. We
Right.
all have these things that we've convinced ourselves that it's all in the name of good, but there's other things underneath it. Not that that's bad, but it's our job to kind of listen to that and be curious and explore it.
I mean, I think that's why I like to say that entrepreneurism is the journey of self-discovery, because if there are issues lying underneath the surface, you're going to find them. I mean, they're going to,
Yeah.
if you are seeking, sorry, I'm so froggy today. If you're seeking for more traffic, as a way to heal some need to feel successful or cool or whatever it is, because you feel like that's what all
External
the cool people have.
validation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I think that's going to surface.
Well, and I think the best way to know that that's what it is how you react towards it. If you start to feel like really grabby and like I got to work harder,
Mm.
you start
Yeah.
feeling that rise up in you. That's always a great moment to kind of stop yourself and go, "Okay, wait, what's going on? Oh, isn't that interesting? I feel this nervousness that my traffic has gone down, because it's just a pointing to the fact that like I've given my power away. I'm
Yes.
not seeing myself as my truest source, because we have everything within us, right? We have it all. We just have to learn how to tap into that. And so when we're giving our power away to our traffic, then we've become disconnected to ourselves.
I love that because, I think we mentioned on a previous episode a while back that, I was talking about that chart. I think it was in the book Emergence where he talked about write down what it is that you think that you want, and
Yes.
then the reason why you want it. And
Yes.
if the reason why you want it is something outside of yourself, then that then goes down to the next column under what you want. Because if I say I want traffic because I want to be successful, or I want other people to think I'm successful, then I want other people to think I'm successful, then becomes something that I want. And I have to keep doing that until I get to something that points out to something that's inside of me. And I think what I
Feeling.
pointed, go ahead.
Like a feeling. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think where I landed last time is that I want to feel loved and respected. So that's something I have inside of myself. I can give that to myself already.
Yes, absolutely. And no matter how much traffic you get, you'll never feel it if you don't already give it to yourself.
Yes. So in other words, my desire to feel loved and respected, if that's at the very base of everything, even if I get to, 10 million page views a month, I'm still going to, feel that yearning, and it won't be enough.
It'll be something else.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I need to have more Instagram followers now, or I have to have this, or yeah, it's really, it can be like I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like a black hole of emptiness.
Oh,
If you're not careful.
exactly. I mean, it
Yes.
kind of is. It's just this perpetuating cycle of same thing over and over and over and over again, you know?
Yes. And I love what you said a little bit ago, because you said, oh, isn't that interesting? Because I've heard you say that so many
Yeah.
times that now when I go to look at my traffic in the morning or whenever time I do, I put myself in that, oh, isn't that interesting mindset before I even let myself look at it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that there's
Stay
no
curious.
negative. Yes.
Right.
I'm curious,
No judgment on it
positive
because
or negative.
right. Because the moment you put something negative behind it with whatever it is that you're doing, now you fight what you're doing. Right.
Okay.
So
Explain
now
that.
you're so so if God, I'm so stupid. I can't believe that I did that again. I'm
Yeah.
looking to others for my validation. So now what you're doing is you're fighting yourself, right? That's a form
Yeah.
of punishment and judgment towards yourself. And so now I have to work on that too.
Yeah. That's one
And
more
there's like this,
thing.
yeah, it's like this white knuckling, like, God, I can't get anything right. That's not going to change anything. It's what we fight, we feel, right? So we think that, like, if I repress, deny, and reject certain parts of myself, they'll just go away. But the reality is the more I focus on it, even if it's the negative, the more I become that energy. So the more I'm going to attract that now.
There's just an amazing book in the tennis world called The Inner Game of Tennis.
The
And
tennis
he actually
world.
talks,
I'm waiting
everything's
for
about
your
tennis,
tennis
Cara.
book. I'm waiting for your tennis book. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Everything I learned about life, I learned from tennis.
Yeah. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. But this book says that in tennis, there is this tendency to think that if you're hard on yourself, if you think about yourself as your own coach and like, hit the ball better next time. And, you kind of like have that inner critic that comes out. Actually, you end up playing worse because it makes you tighten up. And
Yes.
what he says
Yes.
the answer is, what's that?
That's great. I love that.
I know. It's so perfect. And what he says the answer is to turn your brain off, turn your head off, and only trust your body, because you've practiced, you know how to play tennis. You just have to relax and trust yourself.
Well, that is beautiful. I think
Isn't
that
it?
is kind of how we all operate currently, especially in
Yes.
this culture that we have been told, especially as women, we're told to ignore our bodies because
Yes.
we're either overreacting or we're just oversensitive, over emotional, whatever it might be. And so we have learned to live in our minds, and then we become like dead from the neck down. The
Right.
problem is now you have fragmented yourself, and so your body actually holds the wisdom because your brain kind of lies to you most of the time. It's like what we just talked about earlier. Like
Yeah.
you're just like replaying tapes over and over again. Like, God, I'm so stupid. I'm still, doing this, and this. That might be your dad. That might be your mom. That's not necessarily
Yes.
your voice. It's what you have learned growing up or from a coach
Oh,
or whomever. And so that's not the truth. Your body is going to be telling you the truth. But that's not easy to do either if you've lived 40 years of your life just listening to your brain. So there
yes.
are practices, there are rituals, and there are techniques that you have to start introducing into your daily practice to learn how to balance that again. Just like isn't that interesting? That took me years to get to that point where I'm not like freaking idiot, which was always my like go to. Now it's a lot more gentle. I'm not
It's really
perfect at it
sad.
either, but it's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's sad that that's our go-to voice inside our head to call ourselves stupid and idiot, but I do it all the time.
Yeah, and the great thing is that it can be different too, because you can rewire it, and so there's the hope. It might be sad, but hey, use it.
That's right. I actually tell myself, you know how we oftentimes will say it's none of our business what other people think of us. Sometimes I tell myself it's none of my business what I think. I know that sounds kind of bad at first, but I'm constantly telling myself stories like I'm around somebody and I think maybe she looks a little bit, I don't know, like she's not very friendly. What's her problem? And I just tell myself to turn those stories off because it makes me so judgmental and I don't know, like it just helps me to just, tone it down a little bit on my thinking.
Yeah, and I think that's something I will tell like people who sign up for like one-on-one sessions with me is I would use that. The judgments you have for others are usually the harshest judgments you have on yourself. And so
Wow.
anything that might be like negative that goes on in your mind, there's always a reason behind it, right?
Yeah.
Deflection, or they're mirroring something in you that you have rejected. And so if you can find a way to like make space in your life and to understand that difficult people and difficult circumstances are in your life, not to piss you off, not for you to complain about, not for you to feel a victim over, but to make you go deeper and to see yourself on a different level. um, that can happen, but we get distracted, we get stuck in our brains because our body's not communicating with our mind anymore. We get dead from the neck down, and
Mm.
we stay up in our head, and that's where the misery and that's where the unhappiness all is.
The beautiful thing though is that it feels like, at least, I think you know this. I spent the last 2 months or three just basically pretty obsessed with a certain thing I'm doing on my site, which is updating
Yeah.
old content.
Yes.
And to the point that like my arm was killing me. I mean, I was just like, I felt like I was getting carpal tunnel and it was
Yeah.
terrible. And I I realized, just I took some time off from that and I realized that actually it's a change in perspective. Like even just this change in attitude. I was able to update 3 posts yesterday, but I did it from this place like you were talking about, this place of curiosity and this place of, oh, isn't that interesting? Rather than like
I have to
pushing
do it.
myself to do it. Yes, exactly. Get
Yeah.
it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I had actually even planned on it, but because I have such I'm pretty organized, and because I have such good organization, I know exactly where to go. And I just came to the computer and just started doing it, and it happened. And then I walked away, and I felt light and breezy and great about it.
And why do you think that was easier for you than how it's been the last 3 months?
To me, it feels like all about the perspective. I felt like before I was pushing, like, you've got to do this. If you want to be successful, you got to do, you got to burn the midnight oil and do all this stuff. But this felt light and airy. It felt like, like I said, I didn't even plan it, but because I had such good organization, I knew, I just turned on my computer and there was this post. I thought, oh, you know what? I think I'll update that. And I did it, and it felt wonderful.
Well, and you also mentioned earlier too that you had come to the conclusion that if you did these things that would get you the love and respect that you've always wanted. So have you
Yes.
been doing things for yourself to give yourself that? Do you think
Oh,
that's part of it too?
yeah, it's the strangest thing, Kara,
Yeah,
because I
weird.
don't look at myself as this highly organized neat freak, but I have given myself this gift of letting myself clean the house. Because that's one thing, when I was being super obsessed, I mean, everything was falling apart, like I
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
And it's been wonderful. I just feel like I love my space better now too. It's clean and organized, and I don't know. I feel a lot more self-respect at this moment.
Love it. I love
I
it.
know.
Yeah,
I
who knew
know.
that that's all you need, you know?
I know, it's interesting to me because it's kind of like meditation, right? Where you think, how could sitting there doing nothing for 10 minutes make me more
Yeah.
productive? And yet, this giving myself the gift of doing some things I wanted to do, like maybe being outside doing some gardening or being inside and cleaning or whatever, actually, I feel more on top of it than I did 2 months ago.
Well, because you're honoring more than just your brain, right? Or
Yes.
your drive to be successful. You're honoring all parts of yourself.
Yes.
And I think it's really difficult when we live in fractions. And that's kind of how we all have been taught to live. We are shamed when we're bad. We're shamed when we are, or punished when we do something quote unquote wrong. And so we learn to block those parts of ourselves out subconsciously because we believe that we won't be loved for them. And so we do the same thing in our adult lives. We carry that into our adult lives. And then we also find those things like work, our career, success, that we have come to believe will give us the most joy. And then we ignore everything else, right? We kind of like sweep all of that under the rug and kind of hope they go away because this is the one thing that I really want. And so we live in fragments. And it's not until you start accepting yourself holistically, seeing all of it, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional part, the physical, and then marry them all together, that is where the happiness lies. And that's where the wholeness is.
Oh, it's so true. And I think how many times we kind of ignore the signals from our body that's
All the
telling us
time.
things aren't right. I know, like,
All of the time.
I called you in desperation, like, what's going on with my arm? I don't understand why I felt like everything is on this precipice of getting better, and yet my arm is holding me back. And you were like, what is your arm trying to tell you? Oh, I remember thinking, like, what? My arm?
And my
But
arm's
you're so
off?
right.
Weird.
I know.
Yeah.
My arm was trying to tell me that, you know what, you can do all this stuff and it may not make a difference at all. And so you have to be more respectful of yourself and so now I'm back to like doing my morning meditations, my morning kind of spiritual practices, I guess is what I would describe it. And my arm is way better.
Yeah. There's the balance, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
need to focus and balance all parts of ourselves. It's super important work. Oh my gosh. Every day. And every day it has to be tended to. Every day.
Yes.
And it's going to be out of balance sometimes. And that's okay because the goal isn't to do it perfectly. The goal is to be able to identify when things are off, how to get back into that, place of
Yes.
balance.
And I want to clarify, I don't think it means that you lack ambition. I actually think, in other words, listening to your body and being in balance doesn't mean that you have to lack ambition. I think, if anything, it means that you're a seeker of joy. Like, if I'm going to be doing this work, I want to do it from this perspective and feeling of joy rather than feeling of fear.
I think that is the best way to live,
Yeah.
you know, realizing
Yes.
like if it's not love, it's fear.
It's
If
like
it's
the
not coming
dichotomy.
from love, it's
Yeah.
guess what? It is not. It's fear.
Yes.
Yeah,
Basically, everything that's not love is fear. Oh, that's so
absolutely.
cool. Yeah. It's interesting because one of the exercises in the emergence book was about doing a meditation where you basically ask your higher self, what am I here for? And one of the answers I got was, I am love. And so I feel like if I am love to my husband, I'm love to my daughter, I'm love to the people I'm around, but I also have to be, I am love to myself.
Always.
Yeah.
It always has to be you first
Yes. And fear
because
doesn't serve us. Yeah.
it can. I will say
Oh,
that fear
that's
can
true.
serve you because again, we're not looking for all the bad stuff, quote unquote, to go away. We're looking for it to be our teachers.
Oh,
So
right.
our fear can always be our teacher. And we can always tell it, I see you. I know what you are. I'm going to ask you to go into the back seat right now because I want courage to come up front with me and take the lead. So you're not casting it away, saying, be gone. You're instead acknowledging it because, again, I think that is the power of integration. It's not repressing, it's not rejecting or denying. Anytime I feel something that might be labeled as negative, I'm seeing it for what it is and I'm asking it to teach me why it's there.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because I think it is easy to want to think, oh, I'm just gonna, I am gonna be
I want
such
to
a
be
great person.
fearless. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm never
exactly.
going to fear again. I'm never going to eat
Yes.
that cookie again. I'm never going to do this again. Bullshit. You're going to.
Yes.
What do
Don't
you
even
do?
go there.
What do you do when you do? Like that is the defining moment of your healing is what happens when I do? How do I talk to myself? What are the things that I say? And how can I use this as a tool to do something different next time? And maybe I don't do something next time, in terms of my actions, but maybe my thoughts become a little more gentle.
So these revelations in your own life, Kara, have caused you to make a big switch in directions.
Yeah.
How is that? I mean, that's had to have a big impact on your life.
I feel like I operate so differently now. Like I said earlier, um, the way I take care of myself is so different. That it's at this point, it's just a non-negotiable. I work out every day.
Mm.
I meditate every day. I journal every day. Thanks to Marley, you really inspired me. I remember you telling me, "Yeah, I journal, every day." I'm like, I wish, but
Journal Schwurnal.
it is become like my lifeline. That's
It's
where I get
amazing.
to talk to myself in a kinder
Yes.
way and have my aha moments.
You
And
become your own best friend in some ways.
100%, 100%. And then I get also kick my own ass in my journal and say, look at you talking nasty about so and so. Let's explore that
Yeah.
because it's always about you. So let's explore it.
Yes. I
Which
love it.
happened this morning for me. So that was fun. But um, yeah, just having a different presence, a different way of seeing things. Like, um, yeah, I don't. It's different. And my husband's always saying, who are you?"
You've actually lost even a lot of weight as a result, haven't you?
I have. I've dropped about 40 pounds from my baby weight. And I haven't been like necessarily trying to do anything in order to lose the weight per se. It's just I've been listening more to my body and what it needs. And yeah, and just taking care of myself. And it's not even for the weight anymore, it's for my own mental clarity.
Oh, I love that. And then obviously you've had this change in direction from, fork and beans,
Yeah.
even though, it's a wonderful, beautiful sight. And probably, I'm sure you had me in your corner going, don't give it up, keep going. But you had to make this decision because you had to respect, what's your true calling.
Yeah, that was it took 2
I
years. It
bet.
was a really hard choice.
Yeah.
And then I made the choice to do it. And then 6 months later, I had to make the choice to really walk away from it because I was still, putzing around with it. And the moment I made the choice to walk away from it and try something new, the universe is like, that chapter is closed then. Like, seriously, because I've tried to promote this new online course that I'm doing at Happy Whole Woman on Instagram, and it's just fallen flat. And I've tried to, just promote stuff on for Happy Whole Woman, and nothing. And I've switched my Pinterest over that, and I went from like 3 million views a month to a very low number in comparison. And so it's like I watch this just dwindle, and I have to be like, okay, let's just go with this. Because what I pray every day is I have my visualization of the things I want in my life. And part of my business visualization is that I help women heal. And I do it through my presence online, but it's not determined by SEO, Google, or social media, because the divine that's in me is far greater than any of those things. And so I have to live it. I can't be freaking out when I see those numbers drop, because I am already speaking it out that this is what I believe. And now the universe is like, let's see it. Prove it.
Prove it.
Prove it.
Walk the talk, baby.
Yeah. So it's definitely, I've got the message loud and clear that, okay, I give up. I'm done.
I love it. And can you talk a little bit about what the course is? I'm so curious about it.
Yeah, it's 5 weeks learning how to become happy and whole. And it's basically a lot of the things that I spoke about today. It's open for 10 women. We have 7 already signed up. We start, I have to look that up now because I don't even know what month we're in. We start May 14th. The calls are Tuesdays from 7 to 8:30 Central Time, but they're recorded. So if you can't make the calls, don't even sweat it. And I just give you a workbook with questions and what I call soul alignments. I teach you the tools, techniques, and rituals that I talk about on Happy Whole Woman, but then we take a real big dive, and you get to do it with 10 other women who are in the same boat as you, who feel stuck and feel like, I keep repeating the same thing and I just can't get happy. What's going on? And I just try to kind of cut through all of it and get down to the nitty gritty as to why we do the things that we do, and help you understand you and how to tap into who you are and all that good stuff. So this is my first time. I'm very nervous about it because, it's my first, it's my first thing. And I would usually get to this point and be like, maybe I hope nobody shows up because I don't really want to do this. So I've got my own fears around it that I've had to sit in and be gentle with myself through it. So I'm super, super excited about it, though.
I'm sure you know that saying that when you're nervous, it's really excitement camouflaged.
Oh, I like that. Yes. Yeah,
It's
I
the
like that.
Same physiological response in your body as excitement.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Your heart rate goes up, you sweat a little bit.
Your
That's the same thing.
Sweating.
Yes. That's the same thing as excitement. So
I love it.
you just rephrase it, then you could just say, I'm so excited about this.
I must be excited all the time. I like that. I'm so excited about it. Yes. No, but I really am too.
Yes. I know.
And I can't wait to see lives transform. Because
and true callings being discovered, right?
Yeah, I think that there is powerful stuff in the work of learning how to integrate all of you, because in my opinion, that's where it all begins. If you can learn how to accept even the parts of you that make you want to run and hide, and you can say, this is who I am, this is why she exists, this is how she's my teacher, then everything else is just gravy.
Mm. And that's the part of us that's like, oh, I hate myself, or you're
Yeah.
all of that.
The
You
things
gotta
you
you gotta
don't want
accept yourself
someone to
whole.
know about you. Yeah.
Yes,
All those little
exactly.
secrets.
Yes, I love that. I'm so excited about this course. I think it's going to make such a big difference. And even I can even see it from the perspective of maybe someone's not stuck, but they just want to have more purpose about, what they're doing. I could just see
Yes.
so many reasons why it's a great course.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about, how to connect back to your body. There are practices that you can do. How do you start accepting that shadow self? Um, how you can start understanding that the people in your life and the circumstances in which you have experienced are actually your teachers. Um, and then well, we're going to talk about fear. We'll talk about failure. We'll talk about your excuses and why your excuses are really beautiful and how you can
Mm.
use them. So it's going to be really juicy, wonderful stuff. And it's a
Ah,
beta course because it's the first one. So it's $99 if you do want to join. Again, it's 5 weeks. And
how can people learn more? Where can they go to sign up for the course?
you can go to happywholewoman.com and there is a post at the very top, um, ish. You'll see it. It says the 5-week course to becoming happy and whole. And then there's also a workshops tab too at the top, and it will lead you right there. Yeah. And it'll lead
I
you to
love
the
it.
sign up. So
Oh, that's great. And
sign
then
up.
also, I highly recommend people following you on Instagram because the things that you share on Instagram are so beautiful. You could do like this every now and then. You'll share on your story like a morning ritual. I love that.
Yeah, I social media now has just become like, how do I become useful?
Yeah,
That's all I ask. It's Julia Cameron. That's what I remember her
I
saying
love
when
her.
she created The Artist Way. She's like, I
Yes.
don't care about being popular anymore. How do I become useful? And that is when The Artist Way became what it is today. And so I really adopted that into my life. How do I become useful? Because I don't care if I don't want you to look at the things that I'm doing or, I don't know. I have a hard time with social media. We've talked about this before.
Yes.
Sometimes it feels meaningless. So if I can do something that helps you uh, learn some new tool, then that is good for me.
I love that. It's so easy to fall over to the dark side where we're trying to be popular, and I
External
think that's
validation. Right? Oh, God.
yes, yeah, but I love the idea of how to be more useful. Oh my God, that's just huge. I can see that having so many way applications as food bloggers or whatever we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
How do I be of service to people?
Oh, that's amazing. Kara, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thank
I love
you,
talking with you no
Marley.
matter
I
what. You
love
know
talking
that.
with you too. And thanks for giving me the space to share my new little baby with the world.
Yes, I just think it has, I mean, I honestly, I would just have to tell everybody this just so you can hear me say it, but that, the things, our conversations have made such a huge difference in my life. And so I just want other people to have that too. It's pretty awesome.
Well, I love you with all my
I love you
heart.
too.
So I'm the
I do
lucky
too.
one, man.
Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like I want everybody to go to happywholewoman.com and learn more about the course and
Yes,
also
come
to
sign
follow
up.
Kara on Instagram. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Kara.
You got it, girl. I'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Thanks to Cara Ansis for being my very special guest on today's episode of the Chopped Podcast. I loved this chat with Cara, and I hope you did too. In fact, I found myself rewinding the discussion several times just to listen again to some of Cara's nuggets. It's like she has got golden words, and I just need to savor them a little bit more. We have exciting things coming around the corner at Chopped, so be sure and sign up today for the Chopped Academy newsletter. How do you do that? Go to chopped.academy and scroll down to the bottom of the page and hit subscribe. Thanks to everyone for your support of the Chopped podcast. Your reviews on iTunes and Stitcher make such a big impact. It takes only a few seconds of your time and it means so much. If you love today's episode, take a screenshot of yourself listening and share it with me using #ChoppedPodcast on Instagram. It really makes my day. You inspire me, and I hope today's show was helpful and inspirational to you as well. Thanks for listening and have a great week.